Hi, welcome to the Voices of the South. In this podcast, we give the microphone to the social innovators in the Global South so they can share their stories and how they change the world. Thanks for being here, and we hope you like the episode. It is widely known that women and men experience different realities despite living in the same society. The difference can go from everyday things like the pink tax to something as extreme as the legal inability to inherit the property of their deceased partner. These differences vary in intensity from region to region. Still, they all add up and end up harming the potential development of the women and, as a consequence, of the society where they live. One of the countries that has one of the highest inequalities between men and women in the world is Kenya. Kenya is a country in the east coast of Africa that has about 52 million people. Of these 52, about 27 million are women. Despite women representing a bit more than 51% of the population, the women in Kenya have a low political representation, with only 25% of the parliament being female. They also have a lower chance of getting access to education, with only 52% of them having a secondary education or higher, and sadly also suffer from one of the highest levels of maternity death, with about 2 out of every 5 mothers dying at childbirth, according to the World Health Organization. Not everything is lost, though. We can say this because Kenya has made a lot of advances, especially when you compare the information that we have today with the information of the past. Saying that, many of the advancements that Kenya has made are due to the brave women who are constantly fighting to change the reality where they live, and today we have the pleasure to have one of these women with us. Today we have our guest, Susana Aete, who, alongside her team in the organization Rural Women in Modern Agriculture, has been working to empower women in Kenya since 2012. So welcome, Susan, to the Voices of the South. It's a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Not at all. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for staying with us and going through all these hassle of having an interview. I spoke a little bit about the situation in Kenya. I know that this introduction doesn't make it justice because it's often way more complex and way more. There are many shades of success and failure. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, like, because your project is directly intertwined with women empowerment and how you do that. So I don't know if you want to start with the interview telling us a little bit about the story of the project.
Okay, yes. Like you have mentioned, Kenya is one of the countries where there is a lot of gender inequality. Like almost all the time, boys or the men are favored in our communities more than the women. The boys go to school, the girls don't, because not that their parents don't want to take them to school, but because of the various cultures. Carlos, I will start by giving my own insight of how I came about now even to start the RWIMA organization. It's Rural Women in Modern Agriculture. In short, it's RWIMA. When I mentioned that there's gender inequality, it is something that affected me as a person and started with me. If I can say, apart from just being that there's gender inequality, there's what we call polygamy, which is very rampant in Kenya, despite being a Christian nation. In most cultures, and my cultures is number 2 in this, the Maasai culture basically is number 1. A man can take as many wives as they wish to have. You don't have to be able to feed them. The only qualification is you are a man and you are bringing in more than one wife. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5, however you wish. So I was in this kind of setup because my mother was a second wife. My father had more than one wife, not actually one. He had 3, but he was actively involved with two. And my mother was a second wife. Now, being in this situation, saw me get married at 13 years old. I was going to school. You want to say something?
No, I'm being married at 13 years old seems a lot of responsibility for a teenager.
Yes, but yeah, it happens. And even it happens in the backdrop of a government that boasts of having equal positions and situations for both girls and boys, where the government thinks it's not happening, but the government is not present in every home, so it's happening. So as a young girl, when we were growing up, we were very many children in that homestead. We were always going to fetch water as the girls, and we were eating in the kitchen. We were not supposed to eat certain parts of chicken. We were just like the women in the society, in an ideal society for my culture. I'm a Luo. So I used to ask my grandmother, but Nana, why is this? Why is this happening? I was always very envious of my brother, who I was better off in school more than most of my brothers. But we got to do all the work. They only went to school. Actually, that was the only thing they were doing. So when there was no enough resources, there's what we call the bride price. Now I had, it's like how I took it. The people think it's appreciation for the parents for bringing you up, but ideally it's a price being paid, because when they bring the cows and the money, your parents receive this and then they can sort out their immediate needs. Those immediate needs are the school fees for your brothers. Then you are married, and then when the next term comes, your younger sister is taken. So parents receive this and the girls get married. So I was caught in that situation where my bride price was paid for when I was 13 years old, and I ended up married. When I was married, when I was 16 years old, my husband was taking a second wife because I was old and because I was not giving birth to boys. I had just given birth. Yeah, no, I see your face and I know you're wondering, 16 years old. Yes. As of that time, I was very jealous when he took his new bride who was 13. By the way, Carlos, these days I look back and I say I was so jealous of a child. I was so jealous that I ran away from my marital home. I had nowhere to run to, because if I went back to my home, my parents and my grandmother would send me back. So that is how I ended up in a Catholic institution. Then I went through education. So with that insight, when I had now gone to school and I now had a job, initially I wanted to be a doctor. But now, because of the situation I was going to school through, I had to end up with something workable for me. So I ended up just doing catering course. And that is how I ended up now in the hotel industry where I work to date. And that is now how I ended up starting something for that woman who is trapped inside there. I'm working with the Susan who didn't escape. So that is the backdrop, and that is my starting comments, Carlos.
I am out of words. It is a very strong starting comment. I understand that different societies have different standards and different ways of approaching marriage and the formation of a family. However, 13-year-olds, 16-year-olds, it's too young. Yeah.
I know you are lost for words, but yes, it happened. And even again, when I come to gender inequality, I was running away because I wasn't giving birth to boys. If I'd given birth to a boy, my husband would not take another wife immediately, but he felt let down. So girls, it's like in my culture, girls don't have any space. Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing something so personal. It's a very powerful story, and thank you for sharing it. I read a little bit of the situation in Kenya, with the woman in specifically, with the women in specifically. There are things that I refuse to believe, and I want to believe that is the outside world overblowing things, because as somebody who grew up in the global south, I also understand that the outside tends to escalate things, to make it a little bit more dramatic than they actually are. However, hearing it coming from you, well, I guess the part of me that didn't believe that it was that dramatic, for a lack of a better word, that part is no longer. That part is no longer there. But going back to the interview, you go through all of these, through all of these personal stories. You go through a teenage marriage. You were a mother of girls, which, by the way, before we move out of that topic, I want to make it clear that if somebody was responsible of having mainly girls as babies, it was him, because of, yeah, biology is very clear on that. That is the male that has the two chromosomes and not the woman. Uh, so yeah, you were going out of, you run away from this situation. You move away from the situation. You run away. You become sheltered by the Catholic institution, and they help you get some education, and you become, now you have a master's degree, as far as I understood,
Yeah.
which already puts you above the standard in Kenya and above the standard in a lot of places in the world, in the global south, regarding the amount of education that a woman can have access to. And then not only overcoming this situation, not only changing, taking, even if it was because of jealousy, as you mentioned, you change your life, you change your situation, and then you take a step forward and decide to help change the life of other women. What happens there? When you sit back and it's like, hey, this was my life story. I don't believe it's permanent. I don't believe it's permanent for me, and I definitely don't believe it's permanent for other women. When did you decide to start changing things?
So when I went to this Catholic institution, I studied and passed my exams. Again, I was called to Egerton University, but that same very year that I passed, two of my brothers were sitting their fourth form so that they would be qualifying for university. So again, there was no one who would be assisting me through my university to get a degree. My father argued like he's got two sons coming up. There was no space for a girl. So despite my being called a year earlier, when they passed and they would be going to university, there was no way they would look after a girl. So I was home for many years. I was hanging in between now relatives. Now that I had come out of my marital home, I was doing odd manual jobs as I tried to raise money to see me through any college that would be. So I ended up at a catering college, that is Tali College, where I did front office operations. After doing front office operations, then I ended up with a job. After tamaking again for a very long time, I finished the course in 2000, but managed to get a job in 2007. That is 7 years. You are just hanging in somewhere. There's a lot of joblessness in Kenya. So when I got this job, then anytime I went back home, I would see my cousins, I would see the people, the girls we were in school with, the women, they were just the same. The way I was, if I had not run away or if before I got a job. And I asked myself that I know it's tough, something has to be done. And there was no resource, there was no hope, there was nothing. But I told myself I would do something and I would start an awareness campaign, even if it was just making the women aware that you don't have to sit down after you have cooked a meal of chicken, that you can't even taste it. So I started by just creating awareness that yes, it does not have to be this way. I started by, now that I had been through school, what you mentioned about the man carrying the Y chromosome. So I was telling the ladies that, look, it's not even us to determine the sex of the child, it's them. So even if you are giving birth to girls, don't be embarrassed, don't feel shame, don't walk with your head bowed down. We are girls, we are both powerful, we are people. So I started by just creating an awareness first. So through this awareness is when now, if somebody, you've spoken to somebody, heart-to-heart conversation with a woman who is now seeing you like, hey, they also did this to you, but you are very clean, look, you have a job. How can I come back out of this situation? Then you are able to tell them, look, it may be late, you may be having 4 children, but you can learn a skill, you can do something. Then I saw the interest in the people. So that formed the background of starting Rural Women in Modern Agriculture.
You start with this warm inside you telling you, hey, things need to change, even if it's just letting people know that things are different and things can be different. Let's start with that. And then you become, fast forward to the future, you have worked for over a decade. I don't know how many women you have worked with, but just so to know a little bit of the number that you have.
Currently, we are working with 1,500 women, and basically women and girls. Of course, vulnerability is vulnerability. And one thing about the women, you cannot just say, like, as a rule of the thumb, it's women. Because when a son is suffering, that same woman you want to have peace, who you want to have peace, and who you want to give food security to, and who you want to give good health, water, and you want to have income generation for, is still the mother of sons. So there's no way, there's no clear line like you can separate and say strictly for the women and the girls. Because, like I say, in the West, I have some friends in the West. In the West, a man's money is for the family. But over here, a man's money is his money, and a woman's money is what is for the family. So there's no way like you can just say, girls. So yes, we are working with every other lady, every other woman. There's 1,500 women, but again, there are also a few vulnerable, highly vulnerable in that we work with.
Yeah, I mean, being vulnerable, it doesn't have a gender or a sex. It's very encompassing, and unlike society, it's very fair in their treatment of whoever is vulnerable. So if you're a man and you're in a vulnerable situation, is you're not escaping from it that easily. I mean, yes, as a man, you have more opportunities in the majority of the world, so you have more chances of passing through. But when you are in the situation, you are suffering the same thing. One is super interesting is you start little by little, just spreading information. In 10 years forward, you have impacted more than 1,500 women. and their families. I imagine that is around households are quite big in
Yes.
Kenya. I would think so. So
Yes, yes.
it's
Mhm.
1,500 multiplied by 3 or by 4, perhaps.
No, 10.
Then,
In Kenya, a family is for about, the average is 10.
so more or less, just making a quick calculation, you have impacted more than 10,000 people, uh,
Yes.
which that's impressive. Period. That's it. That's the only way you can describe it. It's impressive. It's amazing. Congratulations, really.
Thank you.
Because I imagine that the start of the project was everything but easy. I mean, you were saying you started with an awareness campaign. Was there people challenging you? Was there people telling you not to do it? Was there people? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can share a little bit with the beginnings. How was the beginning for you?
Yes, naturally, with every other thing, like when you are starting up something, there are normally challenges. And yes, we did experience, or I did experience very serious challenges. One of them was the culture. Like I mentioned before, our culture, the men are the gods. So basically, they would not allow something that would create awareness for the women. Carlos, when someone is serving you, it's like somebody wants to take away your slave, or enlighten your slave to tell them they don't have to be your slave. Like if you are speaking to a lady who is a fourth wife, for example, and you are telling her that you don't have to be a wife here. There's a better life. You can go to school and make your life better. The husband will not be happy. So I faced a lot of bad will from the men. The men are the people who hold positions in the society. The chief is a man, the school headmaster is a man, the church pastor is a man. So it was like the village was like someone wants to brainwash the women and misguide them to take away the wives from their homes. So that is one challenge that I faced. Another challenge that was there was in terms of resources. After you've created awareness, you've told this girl now that you can go to school. Yes, you are a mother of two. You know, um, in countries like mine, people perceive children as wealth. People perceive women as wealth. So a wealthy man is a man who is having like 3 wives and several children. So when you want to tell a lady, for example, that, hey, you've got 6 children, go for family planning. A man will take it like you are brainwashing his wife, thereby denying him the opportunity to have wealth. Again, things like child mortality are very high over here because of the health situation. So people want to give birth to more children so that if something like polio comes up, they will say it can kill maybe 7 and leave me too. Such barbaric interpretations of what is happening in the current world. But yes, so when you are again telling somebody, you can still just have 4 children rather than 8 and 4 going to polio. You can have 4 and go for vaccinations. You get people will see that despite you're just creating awareness, people will think that you are brainwashing people, you are misguiding their wives, their families. And then after you have now told this woman that you can go to school, now she's willing to go. But there is no school fees. In Kenya, education is very expensive and it is not available for every other person. So you don't have the money. And then again, skills that are lacking, that you may want people to learn something so that they can generate income, but you lack the resources, you lack money, you lack skills. And then also there was another challenge was there was a lack of support from stakeholders. Like I mentioned, most of the stakeholders are the men. So the husband is like the God, and he has said, no, 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 no. She will not go to school. She will not go for family planning. She will not go to work. She must give birth this year to yet another child. There's nothing you can do much. So those were some of the challenges that were there initially. And some of them are still there.
We hope you liked the episode. We are taking this small space to ask for your help. The Voices of the South survives thanks to the help of the people around the project, and as such, we would like to ask for your help. If you like our work, we will ask you to consider subscribing, giving us a review, sharing the episode, or giving us a comment. Any of these actions help us to reach more people and gather more help. Anyhow, thank you for hearing us, and let's go back to the interview. No, I mean, I imagine that the challenges are still there, and they're going to be there for a few more years at least. Because what you're doing here is changing a culture that has been present for centuries, maybe, and despite of that, you have been able to get into their heads using their language to brainwash people into coming to your project, into working with you, into working with them, into empower them themselves, and basically take the future for themselves. They take an active role in their future and decide how many children they want to have, decide if they want to keep studying, decide if they want to what they want to do with their life. Which again, amazing, especially in the context where you are located at the moment. I just can't imagine how hard it has been these 10 years. How wow! Again, incredible. Congratulations for all the work. Talking about that, though, talking about the work that you have been doing, these kind of changes, it's very hard to do them by yourself. It's very hard to change these cultures alone. Can you tell us a little bit about your team? Can you let us know who is working with you? A little bit of the history. Uh, if yeah, if you want to tell a little bit about them.
One of the main I call them our support system. One of the major support systems are friends. I work in a hotel where I'm able to meet all walks of life, everyone from every other part of the world. So our strengths have been our friends who have been offering support. Another is the other women who are also enlightened, like myself, coming from the region. We may not be many, but we have a handful of those who can be on the ground also to now tell people, like, once they have known this is not the way of life, they are they have joined us. So we have one voice to speak up. Also to mention, like, through now over time, I went back to school to study social transformation so that also I can have skills in what we are doing or how to better ourselves. So when I went to the university to pursue my social transformation course, I met people there who also wish to create change. So they are also part of the people we are working with. Basically, all of us are well-wishers. It's not like we have anybody or any structures like someone is on salary. No, for now, because the people we work with are highly vulnerable, we are just like still the well-wishers. Then we work with the schools on the ground. We do awareness campaigns that are educationally oriented so that through that, we are not getting people on board who may want to be paid. We are getting a teacher who has been in this culture and knows what is happening and speaking to them to join us in this campaign. So I can say basically the people, when I say we, I mean, we who are the friends of RWIMA, we, and of course, I now believe, Carlos, now you are also now our friend, knowing us. So it's the women who are supporting, who are helping us to pass the knowledge and the skills, and the friends, basically. And of course, we have programs like now, even the listeners who are listening to us right now, if they wish to come and see for themselves and offer us the skills they have in the village, those are now like how we are managing to sustain ourselves through friends. So basically, that is now us. I hope I've answered that question correctly.
No, yes, absolutely. The teams takes many shapes. It can be volunteers. It can be people that have are on the payroll. It very much depends on the reality of the project. Not so long ago, I had the chance to talk with a Chilean project who mainly focus on helping the mothers and the children that were separated by the state in the 70s find each other. And they also have a similar structure like you. They they mainly work with volunteers and they mainly keep things together by friends and other people around them, which it only speaks towards the quality of the idea and the importance of the idea. Because if you are capable, and not, I don't mean you any specifically, but whoever is running the project and being in the project, if that person is capable of inspiring people enough to work without getting a pay, well, that speaks a lot of the person and also a lot of the problem that in your case, in the case of Nos Buscamos, which is the name of the NGO in Chile, you're trying to tackle. So again, congratulations on the work, congratulations on the people, to your team, to the people that is working and being there with you. And absolutely, I'm a friend. Thank you for taking me as a friend. Okay, well, let's move to the next question. You've been working for over a decade. You have impacted directly 1,500 people and indirectly somewhere around 10,000, perhaps more. What do you think is the secret of the success? What would you? I know it's impossible to narrow something down into such small idea, but if you had to choose something, what would you think is the reason of why the project is being successful?
I would say it in one word, Carlos. It's resilience. There are times that things may seem like it's not working. You may be called before a chief to be reprimanded, but again, tomorrow you wake up, it's a new day, it's resilience. It has to be done and someone has to do it. That has been one thing that I can say has kept me going, knowing that I was here. You know, one thing I do is I don't see these vulnerable women as beneficiaries. I see them as Susana stuck in it. Meaning every one of them, according to me, is Susan, who is able to come out. It's just no Catholic institution to come out through. So I'm being that Catholic institution so that someone can come out through. So I can say resilience. Another thing I can also say is I'm very flexible. The approach we are giving is doable solutions. It's not cast on stone. It's like it's got to be done, and the method is only a doable solution that is not requiring like magic a lot of resources. So we are approaching it through very flexible, and we are also approaching it's individual based. It's not group based. It's not cast on stone that how this person is able to support themselves is how this other person is also able to support themselves. So that is also making us move forward. Another one is, we don't have like employees. Even myself, I'm employed. I'm not an employee. So it's not that if money don't come in, we are stopping the advocacy. We have approached it in a way such that it's not about just donation. It's not about just the grant. It's not about just the money coming. It's about imparting skill. And when it's imparting skill, Carlos, remember, if you are, let me say you are, you are a tailor, you can teach somebody how to make a dress if there's a sewing machine. So that's the approach we have given. So I can say what has seen us through is the resilience. What has seen us through is the flexibility. And again, the approach that we have given it. And again, not to forget to thank that the volunteers, people are really willing to come out of this culture. And of course, the numbers, women are more, and something for them, they will bless it. So I can say over time, the women are happy and are aggressive equally. So they are coming in. They have seen the advantages that have come out for them. They have seen that they are having a to-go-to person. So those are the things that have given us the mileage to be where we are.
Yeah, sounds quite concrete. I mean, being resilient is very important. Not only on leading projects like yours, but in general, you need to be able to take things in and evolve and change. Flexibility is also, well, more than important. If you're not, everybody has different conditions, and if you're not able to change things a little bit, it's going to be hard for you to reach out to people. So I think it's a very good condensation or resume of the things that makes rural women in modern agriculture successful. So thank you for sharing. Let's go to the middle of the interview. Let's go to the part that I like the most about it. And these are the highest high and the lowest low that are for you. It's a question with two parts. One of the parts is, what would you think is the highest achievement for you? What makes you wake up every day and say, okay, this happened one time, and this is the reason why I keep doing it, because I want it to happen again, or because it's something that inspires you. And the other one would be an example where you, for lack of better words, you and the organization fucked it up. Not because we want to signal you, not because we want to make you feel less, but the idea is that for somebody who is hearing this podcast can be like, hey, if Suzanne, who has a very strong, a very powerful personal story and has managed to create an organization that has impacted around 15,000 people in 10 years, fucked it up, but she recovered. I can also do it. It's more as an inspiration tale, if you want to take it like that. So you start on the point where you want to start, either the happiest one or the not so happy memory. Go ahead, please.
I always do good memories first. So I will start with our wins. One of the things that make me happy is the the 9 girls that have gone through to university since we started, and they are now people in the society, are aiming for even better things in life. Out of the program, the girls we have seen through education, 9 girls have gone up to university. 9 girls are and 1 boy. So basically, there are 10. Then the women we support, we have 275 women who are in active business. So once we started working with them, they can also save. and even be able to give back a bit. But one thing that excites me is their lives will not be the same again. They have local savings such that even if a calamity like Corona struck, they would still be on their feet and walking tomorrow. So that is a plus for us. Another win that I can say we've got is our friends out there, knowing that we have friends who are able to support us and work with us through this journey. When I come to the lowest moments are basically when there's this highly vulnerable case and there's no resource to support. Like a woman will run and say to you, and they know you are their support system. Like the current one I had, and she's having her 3 girls, and she has lost her marriage because apparently this marriage was again the only livelihood. This girl dropped out of standard 4, that is very elementary. She has no skill, she has no education, she has like no place. Then her husband sends her away because she has given birth to just 3 girls. There's no boy there. Then she runs to you, and there is this girl who the firstborn daughter is in Form 2, and you don't have even where they can stay even for the night. You don't have even how the children can go back to school. So you are just reassuring them that, sorry, I'm even shedding a tear, Carlos. Normally tough situation because you already have the resources you have is already allocated. So your hands are tied, you are saying no, and yet you are reassuring that it shall be well. So those ones are the lowest moments. As you walk out from home, coming back to the city, and that woman is bowing their head, waving her hand, just say one more goodbye, hoping, and then you are torn, you don't know what to do. It's really normally it's the lowest moment for me. Then another low one is this person comes, and yes, there's limited resources, and you have harnessed all the resources that you are able to give. And you don't want to blame them, but they are back to zero when you go back home. You set up the business, you train them, you work with them. Normally, we try to work with you for the first 2 months. Then now you should be working on your own. Then when you are back, they are back to square one. It's very low. You feel that that fund would have assisted somebody else. Because again, I can't say transition of the 1,500 women that we are with is 100%. The percentage is not that. Sometimes you tend even to think, is it the skill that I didn't give properly? Is it the training? Then they are back there and you are wondering, now what do I do? So you are also lost in a way. So those are the low moments, the fuck ups for us that we experience.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I can see the highs are quite nice, and yeah, that would definitely inspire me to keep going also. But talking a little bit of the dark side of things, I don't know if you could have done better yet, because in those moments, because you're helping people, not knowing them. You don't know. It might work, it might not. You're taking a gamble with them. Um, but I can tell you that no idea would work 100% of the time. If an idea is working 100% of the time, probably it's something not entirely truthful on that idea. It, so it comes there like, yeah, things, there are some times that we cannot change things, even despite our best efforts. and we need to learn to live with it and let it go and learn from it and become better, but also be at peace that we did our best. I would say. So I I don't think you and your team should feel bad for those moments where you didn't manage to help the other person through. Despite of that, I totally understand how complicated and how emotional it can be that things didn't work the way you planned. So thank you for sharing it. That's been an amazing interview. We are reaching the end. Let's just move to the next section, which is the future. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about what plans do you have for the second half of 2024, or perhaps at the beginning of 2025. What are the goals? What are the objectives?
Basically, our goals are to support more women and girls and reach out to other areas, such that it's not just the girls within my community. We could do something bigger even within the country, so that every girl who I call it stuck in it, every woman stuck in there has an opportunity. So our plan is to reach out to more supporters, so that we are able to get funds to do this, to reach out to more volunteers, so that the people with skills can be able to volunteer. We are reaching out locally so that we can get local volunteers, and also anyway, even overseas, anybody who is able to volunteer to come and join us in executing this duty that I say, to help us stand up with a sister. So that's basically how we are looking forward to it. We are also, of course, focused to getting doable solutions, so that we can work with people who are enlightened, getting these people to go to school, so that when you are working with somebody, at least they have the basic knowledge. So that is what our plan is, so that we have people who are literate. It's easier to work with people who are literate. So our moving forward, we are hoping that every person, however vulnerable, you have elementary education, so that you are able to understand and grasp, so that when we are talking about modern agriculture, you can understand the essence of applying modern agriculture, rather than just when we tell you about climate change, you realize that there's been climate change, and you may now go for better seeds to plant, rather than just keeping seeds from your garden and planting them in the hope that they will get better. Explaining to somebody who is literate is easier than explaining to somebody who is illiterate.
Okay. No, thank you. Sounds like a very ambitious goal. Starting a literary, I forgot the word in English, but starting or trying to help people to become literate. It's a difficult one. So I wish you the best luck. I know you're gonna do it. I know that you and your team are gonna manage. You have managed a lot quite already, so I don't think it's that far away from what you can do. And yeah, always having more volunteers is always good, which is we're gonna touch on that before the end. But going then to the closing, I have two questions for you. One is, what would you recommend to the new social innovators that are starting? What would be your best recommendation to them, or something that you would like to, something that you would have liked to have as a recommendation when you started, And the second one is, what would you like to tell to the donors if you want to tell them anything?
What I would like to tell to anybody starting up something is again resilience. It is slow and painful. Nothing comes easy. It's not a walk in the path. It's not a bed of roses. It will be having its challenges, but stay focused because with your you should know what you want. You should know your goal. You cannot do everything because if you want to do everything, it will spread you so thin. So just be resilient, and then you focus, and then have passion on what you are doing. Like don't do something, and also if it is charity, it should be selfless. Don't start charity with the background thinking that money will come. It is you who is going to spend your money. It is you who will sometimes now it is bigger than yourself. So start with that backdrop. Like for you, charity, for an NGO to work, first of all, it is you to donate to your charity. You don't expect people from out there to believe in something you do not believe in. So, like myself, normally when I'm speaking to somebody, I tell them where we have come from. Even it's not like if it goes under that, I don't have losses also. There are girls like myself, I'm living with two girls that I've adopted and they're in my house. So I will tell somebody to do something that you are passionate about, something that, like me, I really resonate with the stories of these women. I'm passionate about them. In fact, so you hear me, Carlos, calling them Susana. I'm pulling Susana out from a den. That is how I approach it. So the innovators should approach it with passion. And the second question, what probably I would like to speak to tell the donor, for the people out there who would wish to donate, if you want to reach the most vulnerable woman and girl in Kenya, RWIMA is the organization to work with. We have our systems in place. By the way, when you donate to us, over 90% goes directly. And this 10% is not even paid for salary. No. This 10% is just for transportation, is for probably the website. We are all volunteers. We are all volunteers. So we are able to account for your penny to the last penny. And should you wish to come and visit, we have wonderful programs going on. You are able to visit. When you are visiting, if you are able to stay with a family in the rural area, then your accommodation fees, what you would have used for accommodation, goes directly to the project. And the beauty is, you will have blended with the community. So you will already, when you are meeting people, you may meet somebody favorite. You are able to tell us, it is this person that I may wish my money to go to. So we'll be able to account to the last penny, and your contribution goes directly to the person, the girl who needs it the most. You pay even, like the girl I mentioned, like the mother was sent away. You pay directly to her school, such that we are able even to give that school account so that the money goes directly to the beneficiary without probably deducting administration fee. So to our donors, RWIMA is the organization to work with.
Yeah, thank you for the advice to the new social innovators. As you were saying, resiliency and being passionate about, they're going to take you to a long part of the way. And towards the donors, well, just a quick fact: if you want to donate somewhere else or a big organization, whatever the name you want to give it, just remember that about 80% of the budget or 80% of the money that you give to them stays in Europe, stays in the bureaucracy that they have. So in comparison, donating to RWIMA and having 90% of your donation going to the field, it's a lot. The impact that you're gonna make is gonna be way more than the impact that you might be able to make if you donate to one of the more quote unquote big organizations. Thank you very much, Susan, for the time. Thank you very much for being with us. Final question is an open space for you. If you want to share something with the public that perhaps we didn't touch upon, it's up to you.
Thank you, Carlos. What I may wish to share is that as we open up more beneficiaries, we are finalizing on collaboration and partnerships. Like right now, we are working with a UK-based charity, and once this is finalized, we shall be able to have receive funds, and we shall have what they call the gift aid. So if any of our listeners are there and they may have links in the UK, I will reach out to Carlos once the collaboration and partnership is in order, so that you can assist us. You can assist us, you can link us up. You never know. It's about networking and making the world a beautiful place for everyone else. It's about holding space for each other. Yeah. Thank you.
As you say, even if you don't have money, but maybe you have the contacts, maybe you know somebody who knows somebody. That often that makes a difference. Finally, Susan, any social network where people can reach out to you or to the organization?
Yes, we have our website, which we are also still working on. Rural Women in Modern Agriculture. If you search it up, you will find it. We could also send a link to you, Carlos, that if somebody's asking, you could give them. We also have a GoFundMe. Like right now, we have a greenhouse project which is running down there, and we require seeds. So we have a GoFundMe that one of our friends put up for us. She's in Canada, so you can also go to that GoFundMe and send a donation there. But basically, whoever touches base with you, you have our WhatsApp, our email, then we can send a link on how to also support us.
Please do. Well, Susan, thank you very much for being in the Voices of the South. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. The pleasure is ours, and thank you very much for giving us a voice to also just say how things are over here. We don't take that for granted, Carlos. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for participating. Thank you for hearing us. This is everything for today, and we hope to see you on the next episode of the Voices of the South.